It's episode 3, y'all. Welcome back to the Good Word Podcast with Goodwill. I'm Vincent Goodwill here on Yahoo Sports on the Ball Don't Lie Network, and we're also on YouTube. If you're watching YouTube, you see the guest over there, the guest with the clean hairline, the guest with the facial hair, the guest with still having hair, which compared to my first two guests is a bit of a rarity. Michael Smith, formerly of ESPN, but now of Peacock, brother from another, the host and executive producer, and also with Amazon's number one Thursday night football team on the pregame show. Michael Smith, man, thank you, my brother, for joining us, man. Appreciate you, man.
Good to see you, bro. How you doing? Congratulations.
Hey, appreciate it, man. For those who don't know, Michael Smith has been putting me on his TV show since the pandemic started. And he had no reason to put me on his TV show on Peacock, but I appreciated him, and Michael Holly have shown me grace to allow me to be the third brother, so to speak, the darker brother.
Man, don't thank us. You're doing us a favor. You make the show so much better. It's been a pleasure vibing with you. It's something you and I have been talking about like for years, you know what I mean? But we just weren't able to make it happen, this collaboration. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to whenever you come on. It's almost like you know, like I run point guard for the show. When you come on, I get to rest. I don't have to go to the bench, but I could be off the ball. I could be like, you know what, Vinny, you drive. You know what I mean? It's a pleasure kicking it with you, man. You're one of a kind, that's for sure. And then I never know what you're gonna say. Like, I mean, I hope everybody that follows your work and reads your work and follows you on Twitter, I hope they all, if they don't watch Brother from Another any other time, I hope they watch it when you on. Because some shenanigans always takes place. Somebody catching a stray from Vincent Goodwill. The topic is going in the direction that not even I anticipated. It's always fun. So thanks for having me on your joint.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're going to return the favor by taking things in a completely different direction. So before we start,
yeah,
because you can see the sweatshirt I have on. For those who are not watching, I have on a D'Angelo Brown Sugar.
Well done.
Sweatshirt. So you know the question I'm about to ask you. Brown sugar or Voodoo?
Brown sugar. I'm gonna go with brown sugar.
You had to think on that.
Do you? But well, are we in the trust tree? Or are we in the nest?
We in the trust tree, the circle of trust. Nobody's listening to us.
Okay. Voodoo's the better album, but I'm partial to brown sugar because my first time was the brown sugar, Vinny. I know you want to know that. My first time was the brown sugar. And
wow. Did not expect that one.
What's the second song on Brown Sugar? what's the second song on the album? Is it me and those dreaming eyes of mine?
No. Me and Dreaming Eyes is number 4.
Number 4? No, okay, it wasn't number 4. Let's just say it was over by song 2 or 3.
In and out, huh? Done.
Look, man, I told you this is gonna go all kinds of places.
I cannot believe you have taken the podcast there. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the last podcast of the Good Word on the Ball Don't Lie Network, because the bosses are going to definitely end the
you
podcast.
Said brown sugar, this. I immediately went back to 16-year-old Michael. You know?
See, 16-year-old Michael. See, Jones in My Bones was track 3.
What was track 2?
Track 2, I want to say, was All Right.
Yeah, it might have been All Right.
See?
Is it All Right or Jones in My Bones? I remember putting on that album thinking we're gonna go start to finish.
You didn't make it to the you didn't make it to the song with the cuss words, did you?
I did not make it to the song with the cuss words. I did not.
There you go. That's my unofficial. It's 2 unofficial tracks for the best man. It's that song and it's Stevie Wonder's Ass.
Yes, yeah. That scene with the song with the cuss words is iconic to say the least.
Yes, iconic. If you haven't seen it, it's still 20 years old. Michael Smith, who's also in the Best Man Final Chapter.
That's what you should have led off with. There we go. That's what you should have led with.
Should have led
forget
with
all the other stuff. Yeah.
should have led with the best man final chapters. I'm still jealous that you made the movie and Bomani made it and Stephen A made it and they didn't call me. I'm still jealous about that, but I'm gonna let that ride. Okay, cool. All right, now that we got that out the way.
Okay.
Now that we got that out the way, Michael, the CBA was finalized over the weekend. A lot of the details are still getting petered out, but a most important detail that we thought was going to be kind of one of those quietly, pushed to the side things. The one and done was supposed to be eradicated. We were supposed to have high schoolers being able to come right back into the NBA. The rule was the rule was put into place in the 2005 CBA. They want you to spend at least 1 year removed from high school, whether that's prep school, college, whatever. And I want to bring that up because the Final Four was this weekend. And for the first time, or one of the first times, we had a bunch of players, Michael, that I don't know. Like usually the Final Four, I'm sure when we were coming up, the Final Four was usually almost like a prelude to, man, Grant Hill's in the Final Four. He's going to be a great pro. Chris Webber's in the Final Four. He's going to be a great pro.
Ray Allen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All those guys. My question, Michael, especially as you've gotten older, not that you're old, but now that you've coached. You're not old. You coach AAU basketball for your son. You coach travel basketball, so you see it at a grassroots level. So I really wanted to ask you this question. Do you feel like the one and done rule, or at least some form of it, should stay, or do you think that they dropped the ball on not allowing high schoolers to come back into the NBA, directly into the NBA?
I would like to see high schoolers get to do it. And I think we've evolved as a society, and I think we have a deeper and greater understanding culturally and socially and economically, to where I think the concerns about kids not being ready to compete with men or to be a professional, those aren't founded in modern times, in my mind. It feels like these kids learn how to be professional, middle school. They're carrying themselves like professionals. They're building their brands. They have followings, obviously. They manage it. They understand that what they say in the content that they put out, or the remarks that they put out, are going to be amplified, are going to be aggregated. You know what I mean? These guys are stars from such a young age now, until I don't think they would be overwhelmed in the same way that they once were. Once upon a time, the league wasn't ready for them, and a lot of them weren't ready for the league. I don't think that's the case right now. I would like to see high school kids, if they feel they're ready to go play professionally, they should be able to play professionally. I felt that way for a long time, and I'm with you. I really thought this was something that would be fixed or would be changed with the CBA. Of all the things, this CBA is a masterpiece. Like the stuff that's in this CBA stuff, I wasn't even thinking of. Did you notice some of the stuff was coming? Like I wasn't even thinking of some of
the equity, the equity into teams and stuff. Yeah. I knew that was coming. Yeah.
But that's brilliant. Or completely, finally doing away with marijuana testing. Obviously, the in-season tournament, so on and so forth. We can get into all the other stuff that's in it, but it feels, especially given what's in it, for that to not be in it feels especially weird.
Well, I think for me, it's two things. One, I didn't know who held that up as leverage. Would the union hold that up as leverage? Because basically you are advocating for people who are not part of your constituency to come and take jobs from older players.
Correct, which has always been the conflict, yeah.
And then if you're the league, I don't know if the league wants to get younger than it already is. You know what I mean? And I think in some way, and I swear to God, I'm going to sound like an old man here. I think a couple of years of college, not that it should be mandated, but I do think a couple of years of college helps these young players acclimate themselves to the NBA. Not necessarily
college or G League or overtime or overseas.
No, I think it's college. I think it's college.
Okay.
And college players should be playing. I'm not saying go out there and make all this money for the NCAA and you not get a cut. And I'm not talking about NIL. I'm talking about getting you're an employee, right? But I do think there's something to being 18 and 19 and not having to be this level of adult, this level of a professional. Because once you get to the NBA, they're not holding your hands. Those vets may try to help you, but they're not trying to give you the tools to take your job. It's a people think of the NFL as dog eat dog. They don't think of the NBA that way, but it is. It's fewer
Yeah.
jobs.
I'm
It's
about to say
more
even 12
money.
a team, 15 a team. Yeah.
It's more at stake. And I do think that, especially, being around younger teams like I have been, just in my regions, Chicago and Detroit throughout the course of my career, not that guys aren't ready for the money per se. They may not be, but I don't care about them not being ready for the money. Get your money. But I wonder sometimes if the weight of that is so heavy on them that sometimes going to college, learning how to be an adult for a couple of years actually helps. Not saying it's not for everybody. I'm not sitting somewhere saying, you know what I mean, that sort of thing. And I'm not saying, hey, if you can go to war at 18, you shouldn't be able to go to NBA. I'm not saying anything stupid like that. But I do wonder if the minor league feeder system that is college basketball and the NBA should have more of a symbiotic relationship too.
I hear your point. I think it's case by case. I guess I look at it like there are a lot of successful people in all walks of life, in all professions, who did not attend or did not finish college.
Yep.
Or who went to college and majored in something that they either can't get a job with, a degree that they can't get a job with, or majored in something different than what they're working in, than the area they're working in, right?
Yep.
So, if you look at professional basketball as just that, as a profession, if you're capable of holding your own on the court, then the maturation part of it, the social part of it, like who's to say how many years Ja Morant went to college?
He was who? 2.
And I mean, a lot of good that seems to have done him. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I think, meanwhile, has there ever been a more polished and professional individual in NBA history than LeBron James? You know what I mean? Or sports history, in terms of somebody who understands his position, understands his place, understands his brand. So, yeah, I don't know that. I think I would look at it more from a basketball honing one's game standpoint, but that goes back to the alternatives. Like, are you better off just going to the G League or going overseas like a LaMelo Ball, overtime elite or whatever? Are you better off in some kind of developmental league than you are in college basketball, given the differences in college basketball? So, but some players playing in college for a year, 2, 3, it helps them become better pros for one reason or another, whether it's their skill set, whether it's their understanding of the game, whether it's being coached by some of the great minds throughout in college basketball history, or like you said, whether it's just growing physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I don't think it's absolute is what I'm getting at. I don't think it's like, I don't think it's for certain that if you go to college, you will be better prepared for the NBA than you otherwise would have. For every player. For some players, yes. For others, I don't think it makes a difference. Rest in peace, I don't think Kobe Bryant would have been any better off if he'd have gone to college.
True.
For example.
You're absolutely right. And some guys, like you said, you mentioned, are going to be the exceptions, and some guys are going to, wind up slipping between the cracks and wondering, like, man, maybe he could have spent a year in college or 2. The bottom line is this, and this is where it gets really fun. We don't talk about how much of a job these college coaches do of preparing players for the NBA. Like, we don't talk about that because they're so hell-bent on control. The college game looks the exact same that it did 20 years ago compared to the NBA that's going through, 3 or 4 different iterations of itself in the past 20 years. Like, that, to me, that's a much bigger thing. And like you said, as a whole, the CBA, some of the new mechanisms in it, we don't know how the BRI and the money is going to shake itself out. Some of the percentages are going to go up, but it pretty much makes it very clear that as much as they like player movement, they really don't like player movement, because you're going to do everything you can to keep players exactly where the hell they are. So, Michael, we are like literally a week away from the play-in, okay? The last week of the regular season. Some teams have 3 games, some teams have 4. But it's looking like things are going to be really jumbled up until the last day. So
Yep.
I wanted to have some fun. I wanted to just take the big brain on Brad and see Michael Smith's dream matchups in the playoffs. Doesn't matter like where they're going to fit in the brackets and everything else, but
Right.
just
Okay.
playoff matchups that you want to see for the drama, for the basketball, for the storylines,
Okay,
whatever
good.
it is. So you go with you give me one, I'll give you one. We're just serving volley.
All right. You want to start a particular conference or?
We can start west because I'll be going west.
Okay. All right. So, okay, you can't say Memphis and Golden State because that kind of goes without saying. Like that's everybody's. I mean, you can, but that's everybody's dream matchup. Like let's be a little more original than that.
Okay. Okay.
And this isn't exactly original, but if possible, probably wouldn't work with the bracket, and neither of them would get this far. I mean, who wouldn't love to see Lakers Clippers in the NBA playoffs? Who wouldn't want to see a Russ reunion at Crypto Arena?
That is interesting. You know, it's funny because that's not a matchup that I thought of.
Have they ever played in the playoffs?
No.
Yeah.
They came close a couple times. Remember the Kobe year where he almost beat Phoenix? I think it's in 2006. Had the Lakers gotten past Phoenix, they would have played the Clippers with Sam Cassell and Elton Brand and all of them. That was like before the Clippers actually got good. They just had a decent run. That is really interesting because a couple of years ago, like the 2020 year, the first year of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
You just combine them?
I literally did. I literally combined them. Combine the words. That's the matchup I want to see above anything else. Like before the pandemic and everything else happened, I think they played on opening night. They played on Christmas. I was looking forward to that hash. You know what I mean? And we couldn't get that hash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
a matchup that they would show up on time for that one. The fans would be on time for that matchup.
Well, the problem is, it's at one place, and it will be a Lakers home game every game.
That's true. That is true. No matter what the scoreboard said, no matter what the court said, it'd be a Lakers home game. You're right.
We could finally get a playoff series, a non-finals playoff series with LeBron and Kawhi Leonard. I'm with you. I'm gonna give you my first Western Conference.
Your Western Conference dream matchup. What you got?
I'm on the same lines as you, but I'm going on a different track.
All right.
The Golden State Warriors against the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant,
of course,
against his former mates.
Yes.
So when you said the obvious thing is Memphis and Golden State, I'm like, am I cheating by saying Kevin Durant against those dudes?
No, you're not, because it still hasn't totally registered. Like, and part of it is because he's hurt. It's like, oh yeah, Kevin Durant with the Suns. Like it was this blockbuster trade. Everything shut down. Then he almost instantly gets hurt, but they still haven't lost with him. So absolutely, yeah. KD opposite Golden State. Yes, that is an absolute dream matchup. I would go. You want to do one more in the Western Conference?
Give me one more in the West.
One more in the West. I would like to see. I mean, Dallas ain't gonna make it. But I wish Dallas could go on some kind of a run, and sneak into at least the play-in. But they're a game out of the play-in right now. Sneak into at least the play-in, because I wouldn't mind seeing Maverick Suns. But realistically, though, the people that's probably gonna make it, Sacramento versus any and everybody.
Ooh,
just Sacramento. Period. I want to see Sacramento for Sacramento. You know what? Let's go old school. Sacramento and the Lakers. Can I pick the Lakers again?
You can pick the Lakers again.
You can pick Sacramento and the Lakers. And I would, if they end up seeing each other, I pick Sacramento to win that series. Exercise some demons.
Revenge from 2002. Is that what you're saying?
As much as they can be revenge. Yes. Yes.
Well, put it like this. I remember watching Game 7. I was a senior in high school. Game 7, Lakers Kings. I had just graduated high school. And I was over a friend's house. And you got all your friends, you're watching it, you got pizza, you got whatever. And you get that one friend that knows basketball but so much and knows football a little bit better, but talks all the cash bleep in the world. I had that friend. So midway through the fourth quarter, we watching, me and a couple of my friends, we're rooting for the Kings. Like Chris Webber's our guy, Mike Bibby, like that team, right? We want to see them dethrone
White
the
chocolate
Shaq and Kobe Lakers. Yeah. No, it's Mike Bibby. Mike Bibby had got traded there. It was Mike Bibby instead of Jason Williams in 2002.
Okay.
So midway through the fourth quarter, a friend of mine just pipes up and he says, walks out of the room. On his way out of the room, he says, Lakers gonna win. And doesn't say anything else for the rest of the night. When I say that we threw pillows at this dude, we yelled at we cussed him out in his own house, mind you. We were in his house, in his mama's den, and we were letting him.
Y'all messed up his mama furniture?
Nah, his mama loved us more than she loved him. So no.
Oh, that's not even cool. Does he know that?
Yeah, he knows.
Oh my gosh.
He knows.
Oh my gosh.
He would say to me, he would tell me sometimes his mother would get on him and say, why don't you act more like Vinny? Why you always getting into why you always acting? Why don't you act more like Vinny? Vinny's responsible. And luckily for him, he didn't tell his mother some of the skeletons I was about to say,
does his mama really know you? I mean, because how many people will say, why don't you be more like Vinny, and really know the type of shenanigans Vinny gets into? Vinny's a good guy. Vinny's a good man. But Vinny, don't let the smooth taste fool you. What?
Or he was such a train wreck that I looked saintly. Okay.
By comparison, yeah.
Both things can be true, but you're right about Sacramento. Yeah. Like Sacramento, light the beam. Everybody's like sort of aiming to try to get in front of them. Like it's almost a 20-year playoff drought. Like I'm in a place that feels like it's been a 20-year playoff drought. You know what I mean? In Detroit, where they haven't won a playoff game since 2008. It almost feels like just that long. Yeah, it's been, trust me, it's been real bad here. My second playoff matchup, Michael Smith, it is the Lakers. And I feel like everybody's just sort of, it's the Lakers, right? Yeah. Lakers, Nuggets. And more so Anthony Davis versus Nikola Jokic. Like, for everything that people say about Jokic, how he hasn't validated himself in the playoffs and everything else, if he takes down Anthony Davis, a man who has eaten his lunch, right? More athletic, bigger, whatever, just gives him all types of problems. If Jokic takes down LeBron and AD, we can't say anything about him. Regardless of what happens after, they don't have to make it to the finals, whatever it is. If that matchup happens and they take down the Lakers, you are stamped.
Really? One series? That's all it takes? Just because it's the Lakers?
Yes, if it's the Lakers, especially if this version of the Lakers. Lakers have won 10 out of 14. Anthony Davis having 26 and 12 since January. The Lakers looking bona fide. I'm not going to go out and say something silly and say Austin Reeves is unstoppable. But you know what I mean? Oh, you haven't seen that headline, Michael Smith. There's a headline that said Austin Reeves is unstoppable. The Lakers are going to the finals. We'll talk about it later. But yeah.
So do you think that would validate Nikola Jokic is beating these Lakers, huh?
Didn't it validate the Phoenix Suns when they beat the Lakers a couple years ago?
A couple of years ago. Okay, I mean, look, Lakers looking dangerous. They're playing good basketball right now. What is it, 7 of 8 at this point? Okay, I'm. It's not that I don't have a problem with that. It's that I don't believe it. I think that, not to go too far off track, I think the Nikola Jokic backlash has gone so far until I don't believe beating damn near 40-year-old LeBron James and Anthony Davis is going to be enough for the people who feel like ain't no way in hell Nikola Jokic should have back-to-back MVPs. God forbid he gets a third. So I don't think one playoff series is going to do enough to quiet those critics, personally. But, it is the Lakers. They're dangerous. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, like, watch out for the Lakers. And then if they beat the Lakers, it's like, oh, well, it was just the Lakers. So I feel you, but I think you're in the minority on that. I don't think a lot of people are going to be rushing to crown Nikola Jokic and say, you're the guy, you're stamped, you're a made man because you got one playoff series win under your belt. I don't think so.
No, you could be right. And clearly, if that matchup happens the way that it's shaking out, they would have to meet in a series of consequence and not the first round. Because I don't think the Lakers are going to wind up being in 8. I think the Lakers are going to play themselves out of the play-in, which means they wouldn't play Denver in the first round, which means, maybe you play them in the second round, maybe you play them in the conference finals. But I do think for some people, Jokic has gotten, like you said, unfairly criticized for lack of playoff success, considering last year he was without Porter and Murray and lost to the soon-to-be champs. And the year before that, he was basically without them and lost to the soon-to-be Western Conference champs in Phoenix. So I do think criticism has gone overboard. I do think praise is going a little overboard in a way. You know what I mean? As far as, I won't say excuse making, but there has to be like a balance in terms of how we look at them. But now we're done with the West. Okay. We're gonna go to your neck of the woods because you're a Boston guy. That's a joke. He's not really a Boston guy. Just make fun of him for being a Boston guy. So tell me your first Eastern Conference dream matchup.
I'm going to say Philly-Boston. I'm going to say Philly-Boston because of the obvious ties there. I mean, just the historic ties, the contemporary ties. And, speaking of pressure, it's interesting. Embiid doesn't really get that. Am I missing it? Does Embiid get that level of smoke for playoff utility, or is that reserved for Ben Simmons or James Harden or Doc Rivers? Or are we too consumed with the fact that Joel Embiid has not gotten MVP to worry about the fact that he hasn't won anything in the playoffs either? So he and Nikola Jokic have that in common.
The answer to your question is yes. It's both. It's largely because there were other factors, like you said, James Harden's futility, Doc Rivers blowing 3-1 leads. You know what I'm saying? Ben Simmons, all those things and the fact that he hasn't won an award. If he wins this MVP and then doesn't at least make it to the conference finals, we're gonna be looking at him real tough in that Summer Jam screen. I'm with you on Philly. Here's my Philly dream matchup. Only because I'm an anarchist. I just love anarchy, right? Philly, Miami. Give me
some more Jimmy Butler. Okay.
Give me some Jimmy Butler.
Dream killer Jimmy Butler.
Y'all chose Tobias Harris over me. Jimmy, he is just someone that, as far as the playoffs are concerned, like he had a really great
he's gonna have something to say. He's gonna have a word. Yeah.
And he loves Embiid personally. They have a great relationship. He loved Philly. He didn't want to leave. He wanted them to pay him. He felt like that was like the perfect sort of theoretical place for him. I'm sure if he could combine it, he would bring Embiid to Miami with him. You know what I mean? And they would be able to do some things. But that grudge match between Jimmy Butler and the Philadelphia 76ers organization, again, Jimmy put them out last year in 6 games, which we thought was going to be the last of James Harden, which turned out not to be. So that would be one of my matchups. So give me your second matchup.
Second one, again, unrealistic. I'm gonna give you 2 if I can.
Go ahead.
Because this one I'm gonna be quick. But Knicks Nets would be fun. Going back to Lakers Clippers, Knicks Nets would be fun. That'd be cool to see. I'm gonna go with Milwaukee Boston, man. Like it really just feels like Boston kind of, dare I say it, has Milwaukee's number. Going back to the playoffs last year, going back to the regular season this year, even the game the Bucks won, the Celtics sat everybody. I mean, Giannis is still the best player in the world.
Yes, he is.
And they may have the number 1 seed, but Boston just seems to keep getting the better of Milwaukee. So yeah, I mean, that's a matchup that I think we're going to see. I don't think Embiid spoils that rematch. I think it's going to be Milwaukee and Boston in the conference final. So it won't be a dream; it'll be a reality. That's the one I'm looking forward to. Is that eventuality, that inevitability?
Well, yeah, it's funny because I feel like that was going to be the matchup that I chose, and for the reasons that you just said, is that it looks like Boston, from a matchup standpoint, I don't think they're a better team than Milwaukee, but I feel like they have an advantage on the wings where they get all this all this speed and their strength. Their strength is Tatum and Brown. And you look at the guys guarding them: Jay Crowder, Pat Connaughton, Grayson Allen. Like none of those
Yeah.
guys can actually keep up. You know what I mean?
When you
Even
say
Chris
they're not a
Middleton.
better team, when you say they're not a better, sorry to cut you off, we say they're not a
Go
better
ahead.
team than Milwaukee. You mean in a vacuum? You mean like in general? Because they may not be a better team like on paper or
Milwaukee's the
over the
best team
course
in
of
the
the
NBA.
season. But when they play each other, Boston is the better team.
Milwaukee's the best
You know
team
what
in
I
the
mean?
NBA.
Mhm.
And then they play Boston.
There you go. Right.
It's the
Right.
weird thing. And then they play Boston,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Yeah.
weird thing. And it's funny you bring up Knicks and Nets, right? Because the Knicks are like the heritage franchise. They're the franchise that theoretically has the stars, and the Nets are supposed to be like the tryhards, except they went into, hey, let's grab some stars, right?
Mhm.
Michael is a hip hop head. Are the Nets better off trying to be this underground? Are they better off trying to be Black Thought as opposed to
Hey,
going mainstream? Are they better off just
hey,
trying to, you know what I mean? Is that what the Nets should aspire to be, as opposed to trying to be mainstream and sell all the records?
I think it's a good brand. I think it's a good brand. There's something to be said for like being the team that those that know. Sleep on them if you want. You know what I mean? Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper, your favorite team's favorite team. I mean, listen, it's working. I mean, like who would have thought that Mikal Bridges' Nets would still be holding it down after they tore it all down? I mean, you got to give so much I mean, because a lot of people and I had an issue with this. A lot of people pointed the finger at the organization. And look, the organization does deserve some blame from Josiah on down for capitulating and acquiescing and basically allowing Katie and Kyrie, and to a lesser extent Harden when he had a cup of coffee there, to have their run of the place. But again, they were so busy, like you said, trying to be mainstream, trying to cater to these stars, trying to get them by any means necessary. I mean, they got a nice little thing going right now. They really do. They're not quite King's great story, but I would say they're probably the best story in the Eastern Conference. The best story, not the best team, the best story in the Eastern Conference for my money.
Oh yeah, no, it's like you said, when that trade was made, you're like, okay, they don't have any draft picks because they traded them all in the,
They ain't got no future.
No future, no present. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? No future, no future in your front. You know, that sort of thing. But now it looks like they have one, and they're trying not to be the Knicks, and they're not going to be the Knicks, and they're not trying to be, the stuffy franchise. Like there was this one that's as an aside, just to show you how petty the Knicks are. The Knicks were playing the Nets last year, and they sent out like some email to their season ticket holders, and it says the Nets versus New York, basically taking ownership of
Yeah.
New York City and saying, "Oh yeah, the
All
Nets,
the
they're just the
boroughs.
Nets. It's all of us versus them, even though them are in the same, in the same city as you." That sort of thing. That just should show you how petty the Knicks can be, which I like. I love pettiness, which is why I don't mind the whole Caitlin Clark Angel thing. Not as an aside, I don't care about that stuff. Competitiveness, pettiness, I love it. If you can, not even if you can dish it out, you can take it. I just like pettiness. I could care less about class. I don't know about you, Mike. I could care less about, like, class is overrated. You gotta have class when you win. No, you don't. You just gotta win.
Yeah. I'm a little no, not I'm torn. Like I love Angel Reese but here's the thing about her is it's like I'm big on consistency. Another C word, not class, consistency. She is consistently petty. She does that to everybody. Like that's how she gets down. So it's not like she just all of a sudden was brand new for Caitlin Clark and she got a championship. She talked that stuff to everybody she plays. That's just how she operates. But I put it this way: you mentioned earlier that I, coach AAU travel ball. If one of my players did that, I'd have a problem with it. If one of my players did something like that at the end of a game, I'll take issue with it. I'd sit them down. I'd give them an earful. They'd be running. I would not condone that kind of thing. But from a pure entertainment standpoint, I absolutely loved it. Just from an entertainment standpoint, because it's like we got a villain. We got, you know what I'm saying? Like we needed or a hero, depending on who you are. She's a hero to some, a villain to others. It's like she's a character. She's great for the game. They're both great for the game. The whole weekend was great for the game. And it didn't, I don't know how much you want to get off into it, but nothing happens in a vacuum, man. Like you could tell that there was some resentment, some built up resentment that they just were waiting to get off their chest. And it's really connected to what Dawn Staley was saying about the coverage of South Carolina. It's like, here you are, you're Angel Reese, and you're being your unapologetic self, and you're getting all this criticism. And again, I'm not familiar with the criticism that she got. I'm sure she heard it. I'm sure she saw it. I'm sure it's real. And you watching Caitlin Clark be celebrated for the same thing. You can't wait to give her the business when the opportunity arises. Because it's like, for her to seek her out and give her this, it's like, she basically had that saved in drafts.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like she was ready to get that off. You know, because it's and then in our post game remarks, you know, like you could tell there's a lot of baggage that was brought to this matchup. A lot of, like I said, a lot of resentment. So I understood it. I was entertained by it. I think it's great for the game. I think Angel's great for the game. I think Caitlin's great for the game. Women's basketball won in general. But if my son did something like that, I would take issue with it. I would not want my kid doing that. I would not want one of my players doing that.
But your son isn't 20 years old either.
No, and I'm trying to be careful not to apply a different double standard. So the big conversation is about the racial double standard.
Right.
We seem to
we don't want to have the gender double standard.
We seem to be graduated from that. Like, look how far women's basketball has come to where nobody's like, be a lady, you know what I mean? Or unladylike. Like we're actually talking about them in the same way we would talk about men. But there's always double standards for somebody. It's not always just black and white. Sometimes it's black and look, man, you know, we joke about it on Brother from Another all the time. How many conversations have we had about double standards as it relates to Steph Curry?
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of, or in pro football, Tom Brady and his histrionics on the sideline versus some other quarterbacks or wide receivers on the sideline. So, you know, some black players on the sideline.
Yeah,
so double standards run rampant. So, I mean, this was really a double standard debate, which there's no debating the existence of it. It's facts. And I think what you had happened, though, was you had a lot of casual fans come into it that didn't really understand the context of it all. Or didn't really understand, you know, the macro. They just saw this one incident. Like, you know, she did the same thing to Haley Van Lith at Louisville, but, you know, people didn't see the whole video or they didn't realize it happened. And they're just like, oh, no, she never did it to anybody. The hell she didn't. Talking about Caitlin Clark. The hell she didn't. Yes, she did do it to people. You know what I'm saying? And it's part of the game. And so I think it's great. I mean, they were competitors. It was personal. But at the end of the day, I think they do respect Caitlin's game. I think what they have an issue with is they see how she's covered. They see how she's protected. And, you know.
It's almost like the Tim Tebow thing.
They had enough of it.
It's almost like Tim Tebow thing in college. How people.
Except she could actually play.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's why I said Tim Tebow in college, not Tim Tebow.
Oh, in college, in college, yes.
In the NFL. Yeah, it's more being upset about the bigger picture, not saying this person is a phony, because how they were guarding her showed that they feared her. You know what I mean? And Michael, you being a coach, you realize you could say something to one of your players. Kim Mulkey has no spot to pull her players aside and say anything about conduct and professionalism and all this other type of stuff. If that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. You know what I mean? So sorry we get off track. This is a basketball podcast. Y'all just heard the great Michael Smith go on a riff. So, Mike, last dream matchup we got here before we bring it back on track. Last dream matchup, NBA Finals matchup. What would your dream Finals matchup be?
Ooh, okay. It'll never happen. It just won't happen. I'll give you two. First, I'll give you the one that could happen. That would be awesome.
Okay.
And that's That's Nuggets Sixers, and we get Jokic versus Embiid in the finals. That for all supremacy. But the one that'll never happen, but will be a great story, and he would be forced to retire at the end of it, would be Lakers Cavs. LeBron would have to retire. If LeBron took the Lakers to the final, took this Lakers team to the finals after this season and faced the Cavs, you got to walk away after that. You just got to lead. It's just too full circle. You got to lead a game after that. I know you want to play with Bronny, but you just got to walk away after that. That's just the universe telling you it's time.
Michael Smith, I never thought of that. Out of all the finals matches,
why would you think of it? Why would you? Because it's so far fetched. You know what I'm saying?
I never thought of that. It on a number of levels is crazy. In addition to the fact that Evan Mobley would wind up playing the role of Tim Duncan for the first time in his career and just taking everybody's lunch, and everybody being like, "Who the hell is Evan Mobley?" And then everybody being introduced to him. Watch out for him in the first round against the Knicks.
I mean, the Lakers could. I mean, it's because the West is legitimately wide open. So the Lakers, you can see the Lakers doing it. Even though the Cavs are better than the Lakers, you could see the Lakers making it out of the West more so than you could the Cavs, right?
Yes.
Out of the East.
I agree with you that the Lakers have a better chance of getting to the finals this year than the Cavs do.
Mm-hmm.
My dream matchup would be, I don't know if it would, I don't know if it's necessarily unrealistic, because I have no idea if Andrew Wiggins is going to play again, or if the Warriors are just going to be completely mid, right? But a dream matchup would be the last two champions, Milwaukee against Golden State. Because I firmly believe if Chris Middleton doesn't get hurt last year, Milwaukee plays Golden State in the finals last year, and I think Giannis is going back to back. You know what I mean? I think that's where, not that Golden State got lucky or anything like that. I just think that the matchup would have favored Milwaukee in a much better space than Golden State was against Boston. That would be my dream matchup, just purely from a basketball standpoint. But if we're going to talk about the drama, right?
Storylines, yeah.
We want to talk about the storylines. Who did Giannis put out in the same playoff run? He put out Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets in that classic 7-game series, and then he took out the Phoenix Suns in the finals, both of them after going down 0-2. What if Voltron just formed and you got Milwaukee and Phoenix back in the finals? Kevin Durant trying to get his lick back, Chris Paul trying to get the best of whatever he's got left, and Giannis trying to get his second ring in 3 years against the same team. And the knock on the Suns back then was they didn't have a Giannis to put up against Giannis. Well, you got a nuclear weapon in Kevin Durant. And if they get through 3 playoff rounds, like, to me, that would be Michael Smith. That would be, trust me, it would be good for the frequent flyer miles too. Not going to lie to you. It'd be good for the Delta Sky Miles for your boy.
Since you're being selfish, all right, then the matchup I want to see happen, Kings Cavs, just for you. That's for you. I want Kings Cavs. That's what I want. I want you coming on, brother, from another live from Sacktown or live from the land, because that's the dream road trip you've always wanted, right? Sacramento and Cleveland. Cheers.
You know what? You know what's funny? See, and y'all, I have a thing with Michael Smith. I make these jokes, and normally I haven't made these jokes today. And I've been like, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be professional. I haven't made one single beige rage, Klay Thompson, Devin Booker joke when I was talking about the Suns. Right? When I was talking about the Suns and Golden State, I made one of those jokes, and now you're gonna make me go and bring out one of these beige rage jokes. Michael Smith, for those at YouTube, I really want you guys to see, because I know Michael Smith hasn't seen this yet. Michael, I want you to open your phone.
Okay.
And I want you to look at this highlight I just sent you. I just sent Michael Smith a Victor Wembanyama highlight.
Oh, I saw this.
Okay, you saw it.
I saw this.
Okay.
Oh, I definitely saw this. Oh, dog. I saw this, and I've never seen this.
You want me to describe it for the people? I'll describe it for the people. So, Big Vic, in a game yesterday, had the handle from 20 feet, went between the legs, did a step back 3. That's something that he commonly does. He missed the three, but he followed it up with a dunk. Like, got it off the glass and got there quicker than everybody after a step back three. So remember, his momentum is carrying him back towards half court. He follows the ball, tracks it, dunks it. This guy is an alien. He's so much of an alien, Michael Smith. Here's my question for you. And this is almost like a game that we have played. This game.
Seriously, have you ever seen somebody do that before?
Not never.
Oh, yeah, meaning, okay. Because you watch a lot of basketball. I've never seen that before. Okay.
The coaches always tell you, follow your shot, whatever. You
right, that's a whole new meaning to follow your shot right there.
Yeah. I've seen Dominique Wilkins break something on the back iron and go and get it, but not off of a step back. Like, that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So with what we know about Big Vic and what we know about today's players in the NBA, who is the best player you wouldn't trade for Victor Wembanyama? Which means everybody under him, you would. How about this?
No. Actually, no. It's who's the worst player you wouldn't trade? Because if I say the best player I wouldn't trade, then if I say Giannis, then that means but Giannis might not be the only player that I wouldn't trade. It's who's the lowest, who's the worst player I wouldn't trade, right? And that's yeah.
In theory, but I'm gonna just do a roll call. I'm gonna do a roll call for you.
All right.
So not just
make it easy for me.
There you go. Pastor's gonna make it plain, right? So not just Victor Wembanyama today, but you're saying I'm starting my franchise and I either get you this player or Victor, and you got him for the next 10 years. Okay.
Yep. Next 10 years. Yep.
Giannis, are you trading Giannis for him?
No.
Neither would I. Nikola Jokic. Michael Smith is struggling. Okay. No, I'm kind of with you there.
Yeah.
Stephen Curry.
You with me on the pause? You with me on the pause?
I'm with you on the pause. Okay. Stephen Curry.
Steph? No. We're not. Well, the next 10 years of Steph?
Exactly the point.
I probably trade Steph. Yeah, it's been real. Yeah, I'd probably trade Steph. Yeah.
LeBron James.
LeBron got to go.
Joel Embiid.
He had his peak too. He had what we think is his peak. If I'm keeping Jokic, I'm keeping the process. I'm keeping Embiid.
Okay. So pretty much we're it's almost like Embiid or like a Doncic is kind of the Mendoza line of players that you'd really have to think about, right?
Yeah.
I think I would trade Luka for this guy. I really do. And it's not even, and that's no hate or shade or nothing like that. I don't know if I would, Jason Tatum.
Sorry, Deuce. Sorry, Jason. Sorry, Deuce. I would trade Tatum. I would trade Tatum. This dude is like, you ever see this movie Bedazzled with Elizabeth Hurley?
Is that a Two Americas thing?
I don't think so. I mean, okay. I've seen it. So it was actually the one I saw is a remake.
Okay.
But it's this movie about this guy who's like a nerd, and he ends up making a deal with the devil. But the devil is happens to be Elizabeth Hurley. You know who Elizabeth Hurley is, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so this is like young Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley. She's the devil, and she grants him like these 3 wishes, right? Because he wants to impress this girl. He wants to be an athlete, but now you see Victor Wembanyama like following his own shot and dunking it, taking a 3 and dunking the putback, and it's like, damn, that's like Elliot from Bedazzled type stuff. Go, you'll get to watch the movie, you'll get the reference. I don't think it's a Two Americas thing, but I got eccentric taste in movies, so
you do. It's all good. You're wearing a Juice T-shirt right now, so your
producer. I'm good. Your producer John has seen Bedazzled, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I know JG has seen Bedazzled, and I will watch Bedazzled. I will go find it on one of these streaming services. Maybe it's on Peacock. But very last question with Michael Smith. I'm gonna end it where we began. Not with D'Angelo, but I saw this
Right,
on
right.
Twitter. I saw this on Twitter last night. I saw
Uh,
this on I saw this on Twitter late last night, and I thought about it, and I was like, I really don't know the answer. I think I have an answer, but I'm not sure. Voyage to Atlantis or Footsteps in
ooh,
the Dark?
Voyage to Atlantis. I'm not even. I don't even have to hesitate on that. Voyage to Atlantis. You know I love Footsteps in the Dark, but Voyage to Atlantis
Is it
that
is it
hits me
is
right there.
is that the Ernie guitar that takes it over the top for you, or is it just a special song for you?
It's just a special song, and I don't have any experiences to connect with it. Don't worry. Um, but it's just the song, the words, the message. Footsteps in the Dark is beautiful and it's classic, and we all know about its history with sampling. But man, Voyage to Atlantis is my preferred Isley Brothers song.
I tend to disagree. Like I love Footsteps in the Dark. Like that is if the only thing that would put it over the top for me would be Ernie on the guitar. But the third verse for Footsteps in the Dark, are we really sure? Can this love that lasts, still endure? That's it for me, right? That's my choice. But that is
Yeah,
Michael Smith, my man. For those who don't know, this is one of the guys that has gone out of his way to look out for me in my career, has gone out of his way to look out for a lot of brothers, a lot of sisters, not just on Brother from Another, but just throughout his career. He's always been there for people, man. This has been a joy for me, a pleasure for me to have you on with the podcast, man. I really, really appreciate you, man. Thanks again, man.
I love you, Vin. Congratulations, man. Thanks for having me, man. I hope it. I'm not gonna be. I'm not upset that I'm third, but I just hope I kept the momentum going. From your first two guests. You know what I'm saying? So, but no, all jokes aside, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you. Look, Bomani was first. Howard Beck was second. We had to bring it back to the original brother. I was mad at
I
you
get
for
it.
being on. I was mad at you for being on the Best Man final chapters. So I had to slap you.
Bomani was in it.
Yeah, he was gonna be the first guest regardless. Like it really, there really wasn't going to be a choice about that. But
Hey,
that
listen,
is my
I taking a backseat to Bomani. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing
right.
wrong.
No.
All good, bro.
We all take a backseat to Bomani. But that
Yeah.
is Michael Smith. Thank you guys for joining us on the Good Word with Goodwill podcast. We are here every Monday. Don't forget on Thursdays, No Cap Room with Jake and Dan on the Ball Don't Lie Network. Get us wherever you get your podcast. We got John Gennaro behind the glass. Thank you for putting all of this together. The rundowns is always the people that you don't see that helps this thing go as smooth as it is. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us and review us. Hopefully good reviews. And we will see you all next week.